Welcome to CJ Moneyway Media, a storytelling platform built brick by brick, where conversations become lessons and experiences become perspective. This is the mindset of a panther, moving with patience, discipline, and purpose. From podcasts to books to media storytelling, CJ Moneyway brings voices, journeys, and real conversations to the forefront. You're now listening to the CJ Moneyway Show.
Hey, Brownell, how you doing today, Brownell? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. We've already talked behind scenes. You already know what type of state I'm in today, but I thank you for taking the time out your busy day and looking at the Mediterranean Sea and come join the CJ Moneyway Show.
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm honored. I mean, you've had some amazing guests, so it's quite an honor to be among some of those great people.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time and look at some of the people on this show. That says a lot. I really do. So, B, as I told you, I was going to call you. Hey, B, let's jump right into this. So, a life of creative exploitations. You have had such a diverse of creative background. How did you first become interested in metaphysical storytelling?
I became interested as a consumer of metaphysical storytelling. Now I'm going to age myself, but in the 80s, a lot of people my age probably got into it with Shirley MacLaine, but starting to I'd had a recurring dream that was very compelling that turned out to be a past life dream. And then I just started kind of delving into it, and it's just fun. And then as a writer of metaphysical stuff, that didn't really happen until my first book is a nonfiction book that came out in 2006. And then I started getting into fiction, and I love that because the idea of that can open up people's minds sometimes more. You don't have to believe in something. It's like you don't have to believe in time travel to watch Back to the Future, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to believe in something to still enjoy a story, and then your mind can kind of expand when you let it look like that. So it's been a great time.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I guess you don't have to believe in something because I didn't really believe that Doc was really from outer space and that they can really go back into the time zone and do what they did. But I do tell you what was funny when Marty, when he was younger, and they had all that horse manure and it fell my man, all that horse doo-doo. Now that was cool. I love Back to the Future when his hair got all wired up and everything. That was cool. And so, B, let me ask you, how creativity has been a portal to personal and spiritual discovery in your life?
Okay, I'm going to give you a general answer, and then you want to really wild out their personal one?
Hey, however you want to do it, B.
Okay. In general, I just like to consume information. I like to learn new things. I like to kind of figure out. A number of years ago, I had somebody come to me, and it was one of, you have those moments, and I'm sure you've had those where somebody tells you something and it's like, okay, wait a minute. They saw something in you that just kind of opened up everything. And this guy came to me and he said, "You're an explorer, Brownell, and you'll always be an explorer." And what he meant was that even when I think I have the answers, I'm going to keep looking for more answers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to just accept, oh, here's what I was told or here's what I heard. I'm going to keep learning and to keep growing and expanding. So I'm going to pause for that because I want to see if you had any of that kind of experience too, CJ.
I mean, yeah, for one, as far as what you say, like when you hear some things, even if you go to church, you hear the word and the pastor preaches and then we take it for face value for what they say. But as you say, in order to learn and grow more, you have to go back and find things and look at it for yourself. Because you can hear one thing, but it's more to it. I was just telling somebody that yesterday, okay, it's a scripture that say, when I wanted to do good, evil seemed to always follow me. I say, anybody that goes to church, even partially, even though if you just go to church on Easter Sundays or Mother's Day, you can probably hear that scripture right there, that phrase. But It's more to that, what I'm saying? It's more to it, but you will have to read it in order to know that it's more to it. So I get exactly what you said with that. It's like, you got to explore and find some things out for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the difference between prayer and meditation. They say prayer is talking to God, but meditation is listening. right? So, you got to be listening too. You can't just
Yeah.
be saying, here's what I want. You're going to be like, what do you want me to do? Where can I be guided from that? So yeah, I mean, it does. It just kind of, I love expanding the brain and looking at new things. And it's kind of that a continuum between gullible and skeptical,
Mm-hmm.
but I love looking at new things. And then from a very personal standpoint, I had a really profound experience in the last little over a year. And I'll just say that the story, I wrote kind of a series of semi-autobiographical stories. So what I'm getting ready to tell you is something anybody can read for free. So hopefully you'll give them the link and they can read these stories if they want, because they're pretty out there. But I'm writing a story and I think I'm going to write it from the point of view of what I call the upstairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really do believe that we have guides, whether you want to call them angels or guides or whatever terms you want to use. But I think we have some guidance. And wherever your spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs probably fit into a version of that. So I thought, well, I'm going to write this story from the point of view of up there. Like, if they're looking at me, what are they thinking?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever done that. Have you ever thought, like, what are they looking at when they see me?
Like, I think we all have self-consciously or, to yourself, you may not admit it a lot of times. If you have a loved one that has passed on and went away, then, like you say, if we wasn't doing the Meet Again Today trilogy, podcast, right? And I wasn't doing that before my father passed away. But then after he passed away, I started doing stuff. And, we all want to be impressive or make your parents happy, your mother, your father happy. And you're like, man, wonder if they can see me now doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Wonder what they said now. Or some people say, I can feel a spirit, you know what I'm saying, with me and guide me and helping me do what I'm doing. So, yeah, I mean, I think we all go through that at some point in time.
Yeah. So that's what I thought. Well, I'm going to write this story from that perspective, right? The motto for my novels is lose yourself in the fiction, find yourself in the truth, right? So, you get caught up in a story and it's fiction and all that kind of stuff. But then, like, where's the truth in it? Where did you find some sort of deeper meaning? And I love to, you can read my stories kind of at one level and then you can go deeper and then you can read them again, going deeper, and look in all these things. So anyway, I'm writing this story from their perspective. And it's traffic angels. I think that there's like angels up there that, like, if this person's here and this person's here, how do they get them together? Like, if you're supposed to meet somebody, and they have some logistics to work on and some things they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it was like, how do you get an American woman in Colorado to meet a British man in Tunisia?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had some work to do. Yeah. They had to throw a lot of roadblocks in my way to get me to, like, I always like to think that sometimes they're like border collies and they want to whack you on the side to get you to go in a particular direction. So anyway, I started writing this story and I realized that I'm writing who they are. Like, they're telling me who they are. And as I'm writing, I'm kind of channeling this group up there that are trying to make this whole thing. It's called At the End, A Love Story to the Universe. So if anybody wants to read those, they're really fun. So yeah, I get into all different levels.
Well, Brownell, as what you're saying, you tell me this, if it's true with you or not. Being a creative, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're creators. Use a creativity mind. And so sometimes we be out there, you know what I'm saying? We thinking, like you say, 10 steps ahead, or we got so many projects in the pocket and we trying to do this and trying to think about this and think about that. And a lot of times when people are not in the space that you're in, it's hard to relate.
Yes.
Because they can't understand what you're seeing. And then, so when you include the spiritual aspect of this, now, if that person is nowhere near the spiritual spectrum, as you said earlier, you said something about not only do you have to, you pray, then you meditate, praying to God, then you meditate to listen to God. If you're not in position or don't discipline yourself from distractions to listen to the voice of God, then when I'm telling you something about what I'm doing, because it's in the spiritual world, you have no clue or no idea, nor do you want to understand what I'm talking about, because to you, I'm all over the place and it'll never come to pass. You know what I'm saying? That'll never happen. B, come on now. We got some haters out there. Let's keep it 100. We keep it 100 on the Moneyway Show. We call them haters. Because people, just like the story of Joseph, when Joseph had a dream and he went and told his brothers his dreams and he went and told his father his dream, everybody didn't want to believe what he had saw. But you can't deny what God has already presented. You know what I'm saying? It's already done. So this trilogy that B came up with, God showed it to her. She began working on it. It didn't matter what the naysayers say or nothing else. It was already birthed. And as long as you follow through on it, that's all that matters. That's one thing my father told me before he passed when I wrote my book. He said, look here, see, if nobody else reads your book, he said, as long as you did something and accomplished the goal that you set out to do, he said, that's all that matters. And so sometimes we need that confidence within ourselves to get that first thing out. And then it'll open up doors for everything else that we want to do. Because we say, man, I wrote that book or I did this. You know what I'm saying? Now I got confidence for that next project. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it may not as went as well as I wanted to go, but now I'm learning because we learn along the way. Everything we do, we learn more and more along the way. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, B. I'm with you, B. Let me ask you.
Well, can I interrupt you 1 second?
Go ahead.
On that point, there's a great Bob Dylan quote where he said, the song was there before I came around. I just wrote it down.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great quote, right?
That is.
It's like, and I know Liz Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, she talks about ideas are like these entities and these energies. They land on the people that are supposed to bring them alive, right? So whether you want to call that inspiration, and what is inspiration? You're filled with spirit, right?
Yeah.
That's the definition of inspiration. So anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to kind of make that point, right? Is like you're talking about, this stuff is coming from you, and just the creative process is allowing it to funnel through you. And that's the gift. And then if other people enjoy it, then that's the icing on the cake,
Especially if you're doing something for the kingdom and you know that it's God inspired, so basically you get to the point where you're like, look, I don't care if you understand it or not. Because we have been commissioned to do something. You may not understand what we've been commissioned to do. Like you were saying earlier, I was just talking to my guy, Garrett, last night. I met him doing the podcast. Interviewed him probably about a month ago. We've been talking on the phone ever since then. And as me and him talked about what you said earlier, how the angels or how God aligns people, at a certain time to meet and be destined to become friends or become partners, like we don't know, but he knows the timing and the place, He knows all things that we don't know. And you have to be in tune with yourself and know who you are, that when opportunities present themselves, you're ready.
Yes.
If I'm not fully understanding who I am and when God is speaking to me and I don't understand the voice of God and opportunities are coming, I'm missing opportunities because I'm out of place. You know what I'm saying? I really don't understand what I should be or where I should be. I'm ignoring the voice of God. I was giving him an analogy last night, and correct me if I'm wrong or add on to this. I say you have some people that's in the dark but can see the light. Not all the way in the light yet, but I can see the light from the dark. But then you have some people that's deep into the dark. They can't see the light at all. You know what I'm saying? And then so when people that's able to see the light, but still in the dark, because he said that we all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Now, you know what I'm saying? He said, whoever said that they haven't is a liar, and the truth ain't in them. So we all have sinned. We all have fallen short. It's just by the grace of God that we've been pulled from certain things that we used to do. So, but when people are in the deep, like you said, the Mediterranean Sea darkness.
I look at it like, in fact, I've got a quote from one of my books, like there's no shadow without the sun, right? Yeah. So, but I also kind of like to think of it as like, God, the divine, whatever words you want to use, but that is like the sun, and that some people are closer and some people are further away. And some people are facing the sun and some are facing the other direction, right? Exactly. So sometimes all they need to do is be kind of turned around and realize that, if there's a shadow in front of them, they just need to turn around, then the light is on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. You made me think. I remember when I was being pulled farther and farther, because, sometimes you get that like, is God really talking to me, or is this me talking to myself? Or am I, saying whatever? But when you start building something in you, you know what I'm saying? When you got a lot of word in you, word gonna come out of you. You know what I'm saying? That's just bottom line, because you have spent that season or those seasons with God. So you reading the word, because it say that when we go through things, we gotta have word in us, just as when the enemy took Jesus up to the temple and offered him all these things or whatever. And he say, look, man can't eat by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. So in us, we have to have something to combat the enemy. And so when we begin feeling yourself, we come into a different capacity of life. But you made me think about something. I remember I was in the shower one day or something. That's where I get a lot of my thoughts from, B. And it showed me an image of myself where I was facing one way. I listened to what you were saying. I was facing one way and my spirit was facing the other way. Right.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm facing forward, my spirit facing backwards. And it said to me, I'm trying to pull you in this direction, but you want to go in that direction. My spirit going one way, but my natural man is going the other way. And that vision has always stuck with me. I'm trying to take you here, but you're trying to go there. It's like a tug of war. You know, when you playing, you got the little rope and everything, and you tugging this way and they tugging that way. That's how life be sometimes. And we be stagnant because we trying to go here. And he said, I'm trying to take you there. And because you trying to go where you trying to go, and he's not going to allow you to go there, you're steadily stuck in the same position that you've been in when you started the tug of war.
Well, yeah. In fact, I can add to that on two different levels. One is the story I mentioned, these autobiographical from the upstairs. It took me into this place where I was basically like, I don't know where I'm going to live because I have to wait for them to tell me. I mean, I am in such like, tune in. Where do they want me to go? What do they want me to do? Learn to trust, learn to relax, and let that guidance happen. It has been a trip. I mean, it has been an incredible idea of just how do you do that? And then another point I'll make is my first book is called 5 Reasons Why Bad Things Happen. And it's very similar to what you're talking about in terms of that. One of the big messages is you have to get to the why. Like if something bad's happening, there's a why. And you can get to the why, then you can get to the healing, you can get to the next level. And the whole point of a bad thing happening is to get you to change. So sometimes, like you said, you might be in the tug of war and be stagnant, but sometimes you might be going down the wrong path and it's not going right. And sometimes, your guidance might say, okay, if you really need to stumble and fall, I'll let you do that so you learn, but I want you to go this way,
Yeah. He give us free will. He give us a choice to go whichever direction we want to. I think it's in the book of Deuteronomy. He said, today I set before you life and death, but I advise you to choose life. But a lot of us choose to go in the other direction because we have no clue of what's inside of us. It say that the spirit, man, he say having a form of godliness, but denying the powers thereof. I lived a long time like that, B. So let me ask you, B, can you share the inspiration behind the We Meet Again trilogy and Life is a Trip podcast?
Yeah. So I'll talk about the podcast first, just because it's kind of the easiest thing. It's called Life is a Trip, Reincarnation and Afterlife and Spiritual Stories. And it's basically a place you can just go and listen to stories. So if anybody listening has a story and they want to write it up as a story, and then we can record it and put it on the podcast, it's just stories to listen to. So it's not an interview show like this. But if you got a story or if you got an excerpt from one of your books, we can maybe take that and put it on the podcast. And we're on IMDb, so you'd get an IMDb credit too, which is kind of cool. If you don't have any of those are kind of fun to have. And so that's what that is. And I have a Life is a Trip Facebook group too. So if anybody's listening saying, I want to learn into this, I want to look into this whole reincarnation world, what does that mean? And so that's what that is. And then to answer your question, as far as the We Meet Again trilogy, it was one of those, okay, I just learned something so profound. This is what's going to propel this whole story forward. And there's a little bit of spoilers thrown in here, but you'll see basically the story, it's kind of like an Outlander meets the Da Vinci Code. So if you know either of those kind of stories or books, but it's this huge epic mystery about a famous couple from history that is reincarnated today to fulfill a prophecy that'll change the world. And so it goes back into a lot of their past lives, who they were before, And it traces back to the inspiration for the story. It traces back to the Middle Ages. And when I realized that the word Renaissance meant rebirth, then all of a sudden I saw a lot, right? And, I know a lot of people, and of course, you got a lot of people that are on your show that might not be open to the idea of reincarnation, and that is fine with me. I just think it's great storytelling no matter what, right? I think it's really fascinating to think who might you have been before and how might that lesson take forward. So it's like Back to the Future. You don't have to believe in time travel to enjoy it. But for me to write the stories, it did open up a whole lot of that perspective. And I like people thinking about that. And it goes back into some of the religious history and some very strong, even back to kind of prehistory, back to Pythagoras, if you know what Pythagoras was all about. And it's just a fun love story, epic mystery, that kind of thing all thrown into one. So it's kind of time travel, love story, mystery.
This episode is brought to you by CJ Moneyway Media, where podcast ideas become platforms. Through the Moneyway Lab Masterclass, CJ shares real lessons from the lab for creators building their voices brick by brick. From powerful guest conversations to storytelling that inspires growth. CJ Moneyway Media is about one thing, building legacy through stories. Learn more at cjmoneyway.com.
Music style.
I heard you say, you're talking about reincarnation and, like if that's what people believe in or, say whatever. Everybody, got their own thought process. I was thinking about that when you said it, like when Star Trek first came out, didn't nobody know nothing about the galaxy and the stars, you know what I'm saying, with Captain Kirk and all this, but it was something that they had in their mind. And, whoever was the creator of it had in his mind, and this is what he developed. He developed this world of Star Trek, where they was going to be in space and fight, all around the globe and things of that nature. It's all about what God gives you at that time. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times it ain't for everybody to understand because they can't see the vision as clearly as you see it. And then when you put
if you think Jesus is coming back, how else is he going to come back other than reincarnation? Obviously other people might have answers to that, but that's certainly a possibility of the return, right? That's what that might mean. I don't know. Like I said, I like opening mind and having different perspectives and some diversity of ideas that go into it. But it was also just so much fun to write, honestly. They have a current life. They go from current day to a lifetime in the 1930s in Brazil. Then they go back to the 1500s. They meet Shakespeare. So it's, it goes into all these different, and then it goes back even further to the Middle Ages and even further than that. So it's a fun read, a fun thing to write, and hopefully people enjoy it and learn something. And
B, I agree with you because I don't know as far as what you're saying about reincarnation. Back in the 90s, it was a rapper. I'm a big Tupac fan. I'm a big Tupac fan. And he made a song, and one of the verses he said, "When I come back reincarnated," so. Yeah, so, you're not the only one that thinks about this or have thought about these type of things. A lot of people, it's just something that I don't think is talked about all the time or maybe exploited all the time. So I'm glad you're coming on, sharing your story, waking us up to a few things, that maybe it had dormant and we just suppressed for a while. And so you're opening up some things to open up our mind in this storytelling journey. So
and it's, Benjamin Franklin, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, all of them believed in reincarnation. If you know anything about the Gnostic Gospels, there's mentions of reincarnation in the Gnostic Gospels. So there's a lot of people that believe that actually it was a known belief. Reincarnation was kind of the jam back then, if you will.
Yeah.
And so a lot of really important, famous people, Prince believed in it. He talked about it. Some people make jokes about it. And it's like, okay, well, there's only, different reasons to come back. Again, it doesn't matter to me if people believe in it, but if I can open a mind, maybe think about things a little bit. And even if it, like I have an activity in one of my books that talks about, here is an activity. If your reaction to it is no, good, then you solidify your beliefs. And that's okay too. right? If you came to me and like, you know what, I looked into it and I just, nope, that's not going to fit my world. I'm like, great. That's probably better to look at it and think about it than to never think about it,
Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's just kind of my world.
That's your thing. And because I
Yeah.
think what we are as creatives and book writers and authors and things of that nature, I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this. We are seed planters because I got a podcast called Planting Seeds with CJ. Because we're seed planters. All we do is plant seeds. Either we plant seeds or we're watering seeds. Like you say,
Or
you
fertilizing.
had many before that believe in these things, like Machiavelli, believe in reincarnation. I believe that's where Tupac got it from. So some people have already planted seeds, and then some people come and water, or B, she may be going to plant some seeds that some people haven't, never thought about it. So now I'm planting seeds on the soil, and then somebody else that has the same thought process as you, now they hear them and now they're watering the seed. Now they see something else out of it. So man, life is a process, and we never know where we are in this thing until we get to where we're trying to get to. So keep doing what you're doing, B.
Imagine if Tupac came back, like who would he come back as, what he would be doing, same with Prince or, any of those people, a lot of famous people or, of course you don't have to be famous to come back, but it's fun to think like, what would they what kind of life would they choose to come back to, and who would they be, and what message would they want to go around,
Yeah. What would God have them to come back as? You know what I'm saying? Like, like do you, or as you said, I can't believe you said Prince and you said Tupac, but you didn't say the guy that came from my hometown, and we just got through talking about him. B, you didn't say Michael Jackson.
I know, but I don't know that whether he believed in reincarnation or not. Did he?
What did you tell me? It don't matter if you believe it or not.
Well, yes, it would be fun to imagine what Michael Jackson would do. Yeah, I mean, that's that's both. I mean, both of them. I was just choosing people that I know believed in it, but I mean. And one of the things I love about reincarnation as just a concept to consider is that I really do believe we come back as different races. We come back as different nationalities. We come back to experience different parts of the world, different kinds of. One lifetime we might be rich, one lifetime we might be poor. And so if we can look at it that way, then all of a sudden our expansion of the perspective of how can you be racist if you've been that race before? How can you be against this nationality or this religion or this, fill in the blank if you've been there before? It changes that whole perspective, at least for me. That's one of the things I love about it.
Well, we're living in a day and age. I will say this, B, we're living in a day and age where a lot of people need to believe in reincarnation now, because we're living in some dangerous times now. Yeah. So let me ask you.
And if you think about it from that perspective, the people who are just destroying the planet, you're like, if you believe in reincarnation and you think you might be coming back, you better take care of this earth, because you might get that karma of having to put up with mess you created last time around if you leave, don't take care of this planet.
Or let me give you one better. Whether you believe in reincarnation or not, the things that we do as why we're here now is the results of what takes us into the aftermath. So either you're going to be on this side or you're going to be on that side, because it's up to us to determine on what side we're going to be on when it's all over with. And forever is forever. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying, I don't want to get too deep into that, but I'm just saying. So let me ask you, B, how did you come up with the idea, lose yourself in the fiction and find yourself in the truth?
I guess, it's, it was told to me, right? Like you say, these things are given to us and we just know how to work with them. So I don't know how I found it was that it was just something that I wrote, and then I was like, wow, I like that. Thank you, whoever gave me that idea, right? But I like the idea of it because it does allow you to just let go of your expectations, just enjoy the story, lose yourself in the fiction, just get caught up in the fiction aspect and enjoy the book or movie or whatever it is, but then realize that there might be some truth in there that might be getting into you, might give you something to think. I mean, I've had some people read some of my novels, including the We Meet Again, and they're like, okay, I just read these few pages and I'm going to have to think about this for a while. And then I've had some who's like, I couldn't put it down and I finished it overnight, so both are great. Right. And I love when people say they read it more than once, because then they're like, okay, I got something on the first go. I wanted to see the plot and what was going to happen and how's this mystery and who wants this artifact and, telling this story and all that stuff. And then also there's like, wait a minute, wow, this is pretty interesting. Like in Rome in the early 1900s, they found a Pythagorean temple underground in Rome. That's like the coolest thing in the world. And Pythagoras was the teacher of, I shouldn't say teacher because it's hundreds of years old before, but, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates all followed Pythagoras. Like he was the man that started the whole thing, and so it's just fun to start seeing like some of these threads through history and how it all might fit together or maybe not, or, who knows.
Hey, as long as you're having fun doing what you're doing. Like I said, my father said, that's all that matters. And I'm sitting here thinking, B, you're not fooling me. You're a hip hop head. You got that idea from Eminem. Lose yourself in the moment, own it, never let it go. Hey, you heard that?
I would be willing to bet Eminem believes in reincarnation. I haven't seen it in his lyrics, but there's just something about the way he communicates a story that I think he does. I think he's a lot deeper than anybody realized.
He's a lot deeper because, a few albums, he went kind of dark. He really lost himself for real. So I have a few more questions for you, B. And I got a game that I call Quick Fire Round that it's been a fan favorite for, a few months or whatever. And so I'm going to ask you 5 questions and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. But before we get there, where can we find you on social media? Where can we find your books to go get this free book that you was telling us about that we can get? And please don't forget to send me the link so I can put it in the show notes when this episode comes out. But where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, well, I'm the only Brownell Landrum in the world. So that makes it kind of easy. You can Google me. I have a YouTube channel. The easiest way to find me, if you're interested in the reincarnation stuff, is the Life is a Trip Facebook group, because we're really active. And that's tied to our Life is a Trip podcast. You can kind of find me there. And as far as on my website, you can download the books. You can also learn about a new book that I just came out with called The Hero's Playbook that I think you probably like a lot too, CJ. And so, that's how to find me. And you can find me on Amazon. If you want to look at all my books, The We Meet Again, you can find them there. And I just hope people enjoy it. And I love to hear from fans. So I'm hoping to do that.
And if you get a book and you read the book, please leave a review. People don't know how far reviews go for authors and podcasters of that nature. Leave a review. Nothing wrong with leaving how you feel. Whether it's, I'm not going to say leave a bad review, but sometimes it helps us, to move on with that criticism. But we take nothing but 5 stars over here, baby. Nothing no less than 4. So
whatever people feel inclined to do.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm trying to tell you what to do. So B, let me ask you, what exciting projects and new stories are you working on next?
Well, what I'm working on now, just a few weeks ago, I launched what's called the Hero's Playbook, and it's like this. In fact, it looks like this, and it's got all kinds of activities basically to bring out the hero in you. And it's tied to the Joseph Campbell Hero's Journey. So it's really, you can see it's all these really fun things. And so what I'm working on now is a mentor's manual for people who want to coach people through this process. So it could be for writers, it could be for self-development, it could be for executives, it could be for religious leaders, it could be for counselors, therapists, it could be for any of that. And it's just like different kinds of activities and stuff to help people kind of get deeper and deeper and think through. And then, so I'm working on the mentor's manual now for the coaches and that kind of stuff.
Man, that's cool. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I wish you great success in all that you're doing. Everything that your hand touches turns to gold. So, B, you ready for this quick fire round?
I'm ready.
Okay. One word to describe your life's mission.
Well, I'd probably go back to what I said before, explorer.
Explore. Favorite place to write or create?
I'm really loving being in Tunisia, where I am right now. It's really a fabulous writer's retreat because I don't have to cook, I don't have to clean. The food's amazing. The Mediterranean's right outside my window, and I get to be on your show, even though I'm far, far away.
Yeah, she's sitting up there on the Mediterranean Sea. Everybody told her to go get her a boat so she can go out there and go see what the depth really is about. So let me ask you, if you could visit one past life time period, where would you go?
Past lifetime period.
Yeah.
Well, since my novels, this is kind of a spoiler, but they go back to Dante, the time of Dante and the Divine Comedy. It would be fun to go back and meet him, or maybe even further back and meet Pythagoras and hang out with his crowd. So I'm going to give you two answers. I know you said one, but I cheat.
That's all. Hey, that's okay. Trust me. People, when I give them a question, they give me a whole script sometimes just for one answer, but it's all good. We here to have fun on the CJ Moneyway Show. I can't control your answers and what you say. You gonna tell me what you feel. So, B, let me ask you, most surprising feedback you've gotten from a reader?
Well, I don't know if this qualifies, but I actually did have somebody that read my book and said it saved her life. Yeah. That I don't want to get, be too personal with her, but what went on with her, but she was going through something, and my first novels, and she said my first novels, and then the new novels, the We Meet Again, she was like, that let me know that I had gotten through what I got through and I'm never going to go back. That was like the thing that triggered. And that was so beautiful. I mean, that's really, when you say, why are we doing it, man? I mean, we can do that,
Yeah.
That's everything. That's the gift. Yeah.
Yeah. When you set out to do what you was purposed to do, not knowing where it was going to go, as you talked about earlier, that divine invitation or that divine moment when you meet somebody. And here it is, you're writing for years.
Years.
Your manuscript out for years.
Yeah.
Just for somebody that's been waiting on what you got for years and can come back and tell you, B, Brownell, this manuscript that you wrote, it saved my life. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, then it gives you the confidence, like, Lord, it was all you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that you had me on this journey to do this, because for somebody to come back and for what you're doing to set out to do what it was set out to do, and to hear something like that. Hey, what Paul said, he said, silver and gold I have not, but what I do have. You know what I'm saying? I got this book for you that can change things in your life. Keep doing what you're doing, B. One more question. What's one truth you believe about life no matter what?
That if we can get to the why, that's what takes us to the next level. That we really need to get the why. And we get to the why, that changes everything. That's a big thread through a lot of my writing, all the way from my first book. Get to the why. And a lot of people say, oh, you don't need to know why. I'm like, oh, that's exactly what you need. Once you get to the why, you can get anything.
I like that. I like that. If you can get to the why, as I would say right now, why are you not? Not that crap you doing on them tour. No, if you can get to the why am I not listening to the CJ Moneyway Show with Brownell Landrum, there's something that's wrong with you. Get to the why. Get to the podcast. Get to the We Meet Again trilogy. And Life is a Trip podcast, where she can get you on, tell your reincarnation story, and she can get you that, what is it, IBM, you said, credit? Is it IBM or IBM?
IMDb, Internet Movie Database, yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I want to know how you can do that myself. So I want to give a huge thank you to you, B. I appreciate you for coming on today and sharing your extraordinary perspective and creativity, and also opening us up to something that we probably don't think about a whole lot: reincarnation and living life with intention. Remember, lose yourself in the fiction, find yourself in the truth. Stay tuned for more interesting stories here on the CJ Moneyway Show. And as I was telling you guys earlier, as we had our mini Mediterranean Sea break because of the internet, all that water probably hit some of those connections over there. But stay tuned to the GI State's Capital animated series coming soon, created by your boy, CJ Moneyway. This your boy, CJ Moneyway, with my new friend, Brownell. We out of here. Peace.
You've been listening to the CJ Moneyway Show. With real stories real lessons, yeah, and real perspective come together. Remember, move with patience, move with purpose. That is the mindset of a panther. Until next time, keep building your legacy, brick by brick, by brick, by brick.
Music style.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.